And welcome. Okay, hold on. I'm going to start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Visionary Leaders Podcast. Sorry, we're a little late today in getting started. We were actually having such a lively discussion about Metapower and some testimonials beforehand, and so you should come to the live call and on the thing to get the pre-talk. But here's the recording, and so I am Dr. Josie Schmidt, one of the founders, and I'm thrilled to have you join us in today's episode. Our vibrant community convenes every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, fostering insightful discussions and sharing invaluable wisdom. Today, we're going to dive into the captivating realm of doTERRA oils and discussing the parts of your collection that you may not be so sure how to best yet utilize. So if you miss any part of this discussion, it's going to be super juicy, lots of pearls and wisdoms. Catch up on our podcast recording available on the various platforms. For a comprehensive list of all of our community offerings, please visit our website at hellovisionary.life. And don't forget to opt into our newsletter and text reminders for updates. And stay connected with us on all the major platforms like Instagram, YouTube, podcast channels to continue learning and engaging with our vibrant community. So thank you for being a part of the Visionary Leaders Collective, and let's explore now the enchanting world of doTERRA oils together and unearth the endless possibilities in your collection.
Thank you,
right,
Jen.
welcome everybody.
Thank you so much. I want to add that this is a class that we had in Portland Live, and I had a couple of you online folks that are not in Portland say, hey, can we do this call live? And I thought, oh yeah, that's a great idea, because I know that all of us, have received that free oil of the month or some obscure oil that we're so excited to get. And then it sort of worked itself into the collection on the shelf, and there it sits. And it might be the unsung hero that is waiting to be opened up and used. And so we want this to really be more of a roundtable discussion. Of course, Dr. Josie, Mika, myself, any of us, we're all experts here. We all have information and we all learn from one another. So what I invite you to do is you can either raise your hand and just come on and ask, and then we can kind of all contribute to ways to use that oil. And or if you don't want to come on video, you can also put it in the chat and just throw some oils out there and let's talk about them. So is there anybody that has an oil that they're just like, they're waiting, it's sitting there on your desk or next to you and you're waiting to learn more about it?
As we're waiting for that, Aisha, did something change in Zoom? I don't see a chat function on the bottom of my thing.
Yeah, you need to go to the more tab.
There it is.
And you
Okay.
click on that and it's on the top. So for any of you,
everyone.
And if you do a chat, please address everyone.
Everyone.
And then that will come through.
So if you don't feel like being vocal, you can type in the chat some oils, some thoughts that you want.
Something I want to say. Yeah. I think that, I have a lot of oils here, and I have Forgive. And the thing is that I don't use it enough. And when I do use it, not even for an emotional thing, but when I just, you know how you have the oils around, you just grab one and it's just like, this is a powerful, powerful blend. Do you all use Forgive, and how do you use Forgive?
Great unsung hero to bring up. Yes. Mika, do you remember at convention what they went over about Forgive when they did the in-house, doTERRA did an in-house study on all of those, what are they called? The blends, these, the touch blends that are the
emotional
aromatherapy blends. Out of the 6 ones, they did an in-house study and they found that out of all of those 6 blends, Forgive was the top blend that hit all of the different they looked at a lot of different stuff in terms of, what were people looking for, anxiety or mood or this or that or things. And across the board, forgive just came up high. Like certain ones are great for one or two things, but then not as good for others in this study. And so one of the big take homes from that was how powerful that blend was unilaterally, kind of for everybody.
Thank you. I thought you would know, or people would know. Anybody else? Any chime in about forgive? So I'm going to have this in my actually, I have it at my bed now. But
all I was going to say is, Mika, I'm having issues with my phone, or it's user error. However, I was just going to say, I just have it actually in my collection in my bathroom. So when I get out of the shower, I just put it, I guess, up my, do we call it your midline? Like from your belly button going up on the front, and maybe draw a little heart. And too, sometimes I'll take it from my pulse points and then across into my armpits, whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyway, I just feel like for me, to help me to give more stability, that's just what I use, and I just like it. And I feel like because it's all those yummy trees, it smells good.
Thank you. You know what? That made me have a thought, because we have it from Chinese medicine perspective, going up the torso, up the belly, that's the conception vessel. So how healing for women to heal the divine feminine, to heal any, I'll just say the divine feminine, to support our divine feminine nature.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think of this blend. There's certain blends you think of for people who are practitioners who work with clients and people. Yeah. And you kind of want a universality to some of the blends. You want to be kind of giving calm, peacefulness, and having it appeal to a lot of different vibrations and different, individuals. And this is one of those blends that you would think about diffusing in your room as a massage therapist, as a counselor, as just anyone who is working with people and has different clients coming through. It's gonna it's one of those workhorses, and that's gonna be broad spectrum. There you go.
I'm going to give a plug to Forgive for the bathtub as well. And you know what I'm loving about this discussion is Forgive is one of my favorite oils, and I have not used it in a really it was one of those oils that was always with me. I always used, and I was just literally looking in my drawer. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? I'm getting it back, putting it in my purse, because it really is such a good oil. It's also really good for grief. And healing, and it's a oil that I've given to people as a gift if they've lost someone, or if they're going through a lot of trauma, or also if they've lost a pet. It can be a really wonderful little support to give to people.
Just like we think of balance, because it's in carrier oil, to as a first oil or a nice gift oil. I mean, that's how I feel balance. I think of Forgive in that way. It's people love trees. It's an easy blend. It's non-gender. It's like everybody, young, old. It's healing the whole heart chakra area and grief and emotions. It's supporting. And so it's a touch. So, when they're a touch, they are already have the carrier oil with them. So they're kind of safe for a gift or a new person. And it's a wonderful gift to start off. You stock up and just have them I have my little gift pile of stuff.
I love it. So, Florence, go ahead. You need to unmute.
There we go.
There we go.
I started with doTERRA in October of 17, and in January of 2016, I lost my husband. And there was a lot of stuff that went on, and it was hard to forgive. And it was more about forgiving myself in regards to him passing, because I knew the stress level that he was under while I was maybe perhaps not going to make it myself. And so it took me a long time to pull that oil out. And once I did, and I gave it some consistent work, it really made a huge, huge difference. And I don't pull it out very often anymore, but if I have something come up that perhaps, an acquaintance or somebody, a family member or something, I need to work on that forgiveness, it's an excellent oil to pull up and use. And I usually will put it on my heart most generally, and then on my wrist, and then smell. But great for, I would say, definitely, like Aisha said, for grief, is an excellent oil for helping with the grief process. And then breathe as well. Breathe oil, those two, amazing. So
thank you.
Thank you so much, Florence.
I want to give a little shout out to Breathe for if anybody suffers from anxiety attacks or high levels of anxiety. We then kind of think of adaptive or some of those calming oils, but putting some Breathe on your hands and taking long, deep breaths during that moment can be very soothing. So there is a question here from Catherine asking for hormonal activating oils and protocols.
That's a big list.
Yeah, that's a whole call within itself, but we can certainly.
Well, let's get out the two blends that were the first blend and then the second blend that were doTERRA has put out for us for hormone support. Is this what you are? Would the first one is Whisper, and then the second one is Clary Calm. They're both amazing. I use Clary Calm every day with the beautiful body mist. 3 squirts of that. I rub the Clary Calm on my fingertips, and this is what I do for my deodorant. And I do the little gentle 3 down strokes for my lymphatic system, and then across, and that's how I start my day. Other people can talk about other pearls, and I love to do Clary Calm on my belly area also in the morning, and I rub it in with my wrists, kind of go like this, so I'm activating these zones as well. So that's part of my morning routine. But I don't know if you're looking for activating oils, like you want to know oils that you want to look out for, that they might be too much, like activating your hormone, or so maybe you can let us know what you mean by that.
In the meantime, what I'm going to recommend is that everyone get, this is an old version, the Symphony of the Cells book, because I bet a lot of you, this is not just for hormones, there's a hormone protocol in there, but there's a lot of oils, because there's a list, there's usually like a list of oils for each condition, and they're odd. They might be the ones that aren't generally used. And so this is how you could create your list of Symphony of the Cells protocols. I bet you a lot of you have a lot of these oils that are not being used, that you can create your whole Symphony of the Cells kit. Because there's like inflammatory, hormone, C2, which you wouldn't know what is, cardiovascular, limbic, nervous system, and some of them are, I know it, like the forgiveness. Okay, the forgiveness: rose, geranium, frankincense, neroli, clove, melissa, juniper berry, bergamot, and breathe. So I'm going to suggest that people get the book, symphonyofthecells.com, truewellness.com, and then start creating your beautiful Symphony of the Cells kit.
It's like 2 generations that you got the old book. So yours, the book will look different, and it's about 3 times as many symphonies as what's in your. We got to get the new ones, but exactly. Go ahead, Aish.
Well, what I want to say is, I think many of us have forgotten about this, or you don't know about it, and I want to bring it to your attention. For many years, we had a monthly webinar, and we would do deep dives into pretty much all the topics that we continue to talk about. And if you go to the essentialwellness.life website, or you go to the visionarylife.life website, and you go to the continuing education, we have a couple incredible deep dive webinars into hormones, and we have exact protocols. We have, like Dr. Josie has laid out very specific things to do, how to address different issues. And if you go to the website, you can search that. If there's ever a password on those websites, some of the calls have passwords on them. The password is success, all lowercase. So, and another really good resource too is on our Essential Wellness Facebook page. That is what that page is for. If you're like, hey, what can I do for this? Then you get like a whole community response of people supporting you with different issues. We want nothing more than for you to be using these products and loving them and getting success from them. So if you or your customers or your friends are not knowing what to do with all these oils you're purchasing, then again, this is why we're having this call. And then the other thing, Josie, I'll pass it over to you in a second, that I'm also thinking is another class that we had live was how to do self-symphonies. And maybe that would be a lovely call. Raise your hand if you would like to do that together online. And Dr. Josie can teach us how to take those protocols, how to use them, because many of us get caught up with, well, I don't have anybody put those oils on me. You don't need that. And the way that you're going to benefit the most from these products is to use them, not to just use them once in a while, but to use them on the regular. So we'll schedule that one. Maybe we'll schedule
that. But I want Dr. Mika to be with me, because she's the other, and Julie, we're the Symphony girls. Yeah. So we get some of Dr. Mika's team who are heavy on the Symphony, and that would be such a fun call, right, guys?
It'd be so fun. Julie and a person on our team would do those like at least once a month when we were
so we should have the whole like this community Symphony, because I want also everyone to know that we have so much beautiful information on the Essential Wellness, right? And sometimes it gets overwhelming, but when you go in the drop down of the oil, what does it say? Oil information, Aisha? There's a whole page on Symphony of the Cells. And most of it is stuff I've done. And I went through a phase of like, okay, I wanted to do videos. And so we got a video of me being all cheeky, doing a self symphony and bringing my foot up, and you get to see my foot, and I'm putting it on my foot and stuff, showing that. And then there's one of me doing it with Dr. Louise Rose at her clinic on Tracy Brown, her back, and doing it in a chair. We show an alternate one, and we go through all the, so we have a whole page on this thing that we're calling Symphony of the Cells and how to incorporate it. And they're short. None of the videos are between 5 and 20 minutes. So please use that resource. It's a great resource if you're ever wondering, like, what are they talking about? And I don't feel comfortable with this. It's all there.
Yeah. And I thank you. I'm so glad that, we need to teach that class, because we have so many testimonials about Symphony of the Cells and how it's saved lives.
Yep. Saved lives. Like, this is something you want to be comfortable with. So when you want to use it when you want to use it, but then when you need to use it, you want to be comfortable with it so you can bring it on. Because when you need to use it, you actually need to use it quite frequently. Like with something like a intense respiratory winter situation.
And that's why I'm saying, people, if you get the book, so that you can you probably have a lot of those oils on your shelf, and you can start making a kit out of the lists. And I can show you my kit when we do the class. Also, it'd be great to have Dr. Julie also talk about Symphony of the Cells, because she has her little maximized way of doing the oils, like how to put them all together, which is amazing and magnificent, which I don't do. I just have my own little kit, but she has something very cool, and because she's a maximizer.
So what I do is I take the little samples that you can get on Amazon, the little 2 milliliters, and I tape them together so I get one long stick of the Symphony of the Cells protocol. So you can do the whole hormone balancing in, you don't have to do it fast, but I kind of, that's my thing. Doing things. So you can do it in under 2 minutes. It's like, I have no time. No, that's not an excuse. But Dr. Josie, what I ended up doing is I like Clary Calm, but I ended up, I think you call it like spiking it. So I added the cells, the hormone balancing, the few oils that are not in Clary Calm that are in Symphony of the Cells. So then I use my Clary Calm roller, but it's got a few extra oils from the hormone balancing protocol. Does that make sense?
Oh.
So like I take my little 10 milliliters of Clary Calm, and then I added, I'm trying to think, I added frankincense, I added ginger, thyme. I think those are the 3, maybe one more. Maybe Siberian fir.
Yeah, Siberian fir. I'm looking at the list right now. Yeah.
Wow.
And I love it.
Yes. So
and so
let's
that's
talk about that. Let's talk about because this is all the advanced before we go into that, because let's talk about making it your own, making things your own, and having the comfort about doing that, whether it's Symphony, whether it's a blend, DIY blend, move it, that's where we hope everyone kind of starts to go. Before we do that, it can get confusing, you guys, and I don't want to dismiss this idea. We have 2 websites. I just went to Essential Wellness, and Aisha, I didn't realize we don't have a Symphony of the Selves page on Essential Wellness. And I just told you that that's where it was. It's on Visionary Leaders. So it can be confusing. And I just want to acknowledge that we have 2 websites, the whole team. It's been 12 years. We've had different growth phases. If it's not on one website, go look on the other. So I'm putting it in the chat here. It is on hellovisionary.life. And it's not on Essential Wellness, the page that I created. And there it is. So you can see it's hellovisionary.life, /SOC, which stands for Symphony of Cells.
Josie, thank you for clarifying that. And I just want to give everybody just a quick insight, because I know there was so much information. Anyway, I won't go into all the reasons, but we basically have everything kind of outlined on Hello Visionary as kind of the main website, but then a lot of things actually link back to the Essential Wellness site. So that all of the educational webinars. So if you're initially looking for something, go to hellovisionary.life. But if you're specifically looking for one of the educational webinars, you can still look for it there, but they're going to be housed. And as you're looking, if you find yourself toggling back and forth, that is why they're kind of interacting with one another.
Yeah, thanks. Right. It was how we progressed. And yeah, it's Essential Wellness is beautiful, and it's a library in a sense. And then we have some newer things. So the Symphony of the Cells page was newer. So it's on Visionary. Okay. So let's get into this discussion, getting comfortable of you can learn with Symphony of the Cells and get comfortable with it by ordering the book, doing the protocols, kind of going through this, what Boyd Truman and his mother suggest. And then something starts to happen. You start to be like Julie, and you're like, whoa, but I have a relationship with ginger, and I kind of have this protocol, and I feel like I want to bring it in here. What do we think about that? I don't know. Do people want to talk? I was putting it out there that's great. That means, in my opinion, that you are growing in moving from like just mind knowledge, like that's where we start. We kind of usually start with that information level of like learning something in our head and our mind. And then you start with, these are plants. This is plant medicine. These are spirits. You start to have an intuitive and vibrational and energetic relationship with these plants, with the spirit, with the medicine, with feeling it in your body. And you start to have a knowingness, and you move out of just that brain knowledge into this other space. And it's that other space where you start to gain that confidence of creating, in a sense, your own sequence of oils that makes sense for you in a situation, or swapping out an oil without looking at the back chart, because there's a great back chart that helps you learn that and start to learn the oils and their constituents, and why you would, if you don't have an oil in one of the symphonies, they give you 3 other alternates. And those alternates have to do with vibration, but also a lot of the time scientific constituents. And so they're giving you an oil that has similar medicinal constituents, that the reason why they're using that oil in that sequence. So they're saying that here's something you could swap it out because it's going to give you a similar effect in your body. But you can get to that place of knowingness within yourself and do some swapping out or arranging. And that's a beautiful moment for all of us. So I just want to celebrate that and say we celebrate that.
You know, Josie, I want to add to that conversation because we do have that knowing deep in our cells and our genetic memory. And that information is there when we get quiet and when we really listen. And so please trust that. So if you have a meditation practice or a prayer practice or just any kind of moment of getting quiet in the bathtub before you go to bed, you can sit with an oil. If you have an oil and you really don't know what to do with it, just sit with it and listen to what it has to share with you. Another really good thing to be aware of, if you get an oil and you're like, I don't really know what to do with this. In fact, I think we should talk about this, because our oil of the month is
Douglas fir.
It's Douglas fir, right? So it might be a good oil to use an example before I even say anything. And I would actually I don't want to hear from Dr. Mika, and I don't want to hear from Dr. Josie, and I don't want to hear from Dr. Julie. Sorry, love you all so much. I want to hear from the rest of you. Let's put in the chat, or you can come on camera and tell us, what would you use Douglas fir for? And think about, where's the plant from? What is it? It's a tree. The fact that it's from a tree gives us a lot of information right there. If you think, what are the tree oils good for? So this is a little bit of a quiz, everyone. Don't be shy. There's no wrong answer here. Drop in the chat. When you get your Douglas fir in the mail, what are you going to use it for? Come on. It's crickets. Thank you, Florence.
Florence says grounding and centering. Beautiful. We know this about the trees with their deep roots.
Right. And just ask yourself, get past the anxiety of having a wrong answer. Right? What do we use the tree oils for? Think about other oils that are tree oils. So think about, I'm going to give you a big hint here. Breathe contains a lot of, we just talked about forgive. Our new oil, Shinrin Yoku, which is going to be talked about on the A to Z call next week. You know, like, what do we think about if you are aware of the doctrine of signatures, if you look at the form of the tree, what does a tree look like? What do the roots look like? They look like our lungs, right? So that gives us information. What is that plant doing in nature?
So Ione, I hope I'm saying it right, said grounding, think of deep roots.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else said, I will use it for making my home smell like a Christmas tree. Yeah.
Most Christmas trees are Douglas firs.
Mm-hmm.
He's on it.
And I also want to say that Well, no, like Aisha said, no answer is incorrect because that oil, that tree is working specifically healing you, body, mind, and spirit in a very specific way to you and for you. So there really is no wrong answer. It's working with you. So if you get something completely different, know that that's correct because it's correct for you in your being.
I'll share. I think that I actually don't use Doug fir as much, but black spruce, all the conifers, I've lately really been bringing them in a lot for ancestral work. So I feel like most of that tree wisdom is ancient wisdom. And so it can also open up a little portal for us to work with our ancestors. So I think of the trees, all of the trees for that. So, and I love that Doug fir is being brought up because I feel like it's a knock on the door to bring it out, get to know it better. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Judith, for saying that, because I was just looking at our comments and Rebecca Saltman also said generational healing, and that is a big one. And definitely those tree oils really help clear the generational healing.
Yeah, and yes, thank you, Judith, for bringing that up. I think of like there's lots of different kinds of trees, so it's interesting. Like, so within a family, like the tree oils, you can kind of start to see the ones that are really coming more from a resinous and have deeper resin, and something like sandalwood versus the conifers. So when you look at black spruce and Douglas fir and like hinoki from Japan, they're all to me, very light and sweet in the tree realm. Like Douglas fir was the sweetest, kind of lightest of the tree oils until they brought on black spruce for me. And I love kind of starting to see that differentiation between the right, Julie's like, yeah, right, and what's happening and feeling into that, and how the different trees can work together, and then you can start to bring in like, ooh, what is it like if I bring in like a floral and a citrus with that tree?
Mm-hmm. So maybe we have a whole class in bringing all the trees in and sort of kind of like wine taste, and you look at the very specific characteristics of like, how does black spruce hit you today in comparison to Doug fir? And like, really, I love what you're saying, Josie, just get into the very specific qualities of each of them. But I think of them as having, like a larger signature of health, but each so personal. Yeah, I love that.
I don't know if it's for me, Judith, but you have a lot of static when you come in. Is anyone else experiencing that?
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, we all are. So Judith, I think something's up with your microphone because no one else it's not happening. That's just good to know. Yeah.
But I was going to say that could be a really wonderful topic for our calls, is that we just talk about the tree oils or the florals or the citruses, and, kind of distinguish like why would you use cypress versus birch? Or why would you use this tree versus this tree? Or if you want to get this result, like which would be the best one to choose? I love that.
What if we went around the wheel?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know about the wheel?
Yeah.
doTERRA came out with this. I got oh, speak of the devil. I don't think this is the emotion wheel, but there's also the wheel of the oils and breaking down trees from the spices, from the citruses, from the mints, from the florals, like, right, and how they work together. And we could use that wheel as our kind of starting point and go through the classes and start to talk about the different ones and differentiating them, and then speak of how you would want to blend them and mix them together, and like bring in I know Dr. Louise and Ariana love to bring in the fragrance energetics and all those things. So that would What do you think? Does that sound juicy? What do people think?
Yes, love it. Hey, I have an oil that I don't use that I just tasted. You ready to move on? The
Yeah.
baking spice. Who has the baking spice and who uses it? I just put it on my tongue. You could, this is like chai.
So when I went last year back to my family back east, I had that with me, and I'm going to bring it again. And instead of tediously making up my own chai mix and everything, I bring that for one of my essential oil teas. So that's the only way I've used it, is I just plunk that in hot water and I drink it.
Oh, Ione says, please tell me if I'm saying if I'm saying your name right. I use baking spice in coffee and tea. Yes.
Yeah. I like it because it's mild. And when I've tried to make, it's not easy to make up your own chai spice. It's very strong, I found. Mine, I think Dr. Louise has done the best because she's a master mixer with her. We got to Dr. Louise has a great chai recipe. But then this baking spice is fantastic.
Can you order that one bottle? I think you have
get
to
it with the cookie cutter.
Yeah, with the cookie cutter.
It's still on the like LTO or limited time or while supplies last category in the back office.
And I want to share with all of you, we had a special PDF at our gathering of some special recipes. And I did have a chai honey recipe on there that is tried and true and quite delicious. So that will get sent out in our email, which goes out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's a short summary of the call with the recording links and with other like our upcoming calls and information. If you are not part of our newsletter, I'm going to just take this time to offer a podcast commercial. Please go to hellovisionary.life and not only opt in for the newsletter, but please also opt in for the text alerts. And then you will get a reminder for the call for every Monday at 10 a.m. And in that document, we also have Dr. Josie's Space Caviar recipe. We have some blends from Ariana, from Heather, and from Dr. Rose. And it's a compilation of some of our most favorite blends and recipes. So these aren't just random things we pulled together. These are some of our very favorites, and we will send that out in the newsletter. So you have to be part of the newsletter to receive that, and look for it on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Yeah, Nancy, you might have to give the cookie cutters as a holiday gift. It's the only way to get the oil. Sorry about that. And I will also say it's the only way, it's a once a season oil. So if you want it, you're not going to be able to buy it later in the year. So now is really the time to take advantage of that. And I will say we don't just falsify the hype about limited supply, because when popular things come forward in doTERRA, oftentimes they do sell out really quickly, or you're like, oh, I'm going to get that later. And then you realize like, oh, that's gone. So if it's something that you really want, I recommend taking advantage of that.
Hey, can I go back to who was it that asked about hormone?
That was Catherine, and she's hopped off the call, but we can still address it.
Well, I wanted to call out beyond the norms, which I usually it's like Clary Calm, then Whisper, and also Neroli are my top three for like that first grab for hormone support. But the new Jasmine, y'all, have you guys been working with that? That is amazing. And it is a one, yeah. My mind's blanking out. it's steam distilled jasmine. It's the new one, not the roller touch. I don't think any of us have really been working with it enough, and to call out as for hormone and hormone support, to be working with that and incorporating that into your morning. I'm going to be doing it this kind of got me thinking, what are the things that I haven't really used much? And I haven't used that because I'm still in hoard mode, because it was so special and it wasn't available. So I haven't, a lot of times I'm terrible when we have those kind of oils. I just hoard them, and then it becomes available and I haven't like moved out of hoard mode. So I'm going to out myself and say, I'm going to start to use that in my morning daily routine. Because when it first came, jasmine in the roller, it's strong. That girl is like, yo, I'm here. Let's do some work. And sometimes it's a little abrasive. Like I find it's just like, whoa, okay. And the steam distilled jasmine is quite more like gentle and like, yes, come, let's work together. So, I don't know, maybe let's all commit to working with the steam distilled jasmine this month in our morning routines for our hormone support. So what that could look like would be I don't know, Mika, Julie, anyone, I'm going to work with it that same way, where I'm going to bring it in with my armpit blend and on my belly, my lower belly in the morning, and then potentially bring it back here for my pulse points. Anyone else?
Yeah. I would do it in another place, is right in the back of your neck to get to your brainstem. That's how in my Qigong class, we'll put the jasmine, it's the touch, but I'll have people move to the steam distilled. Good idea. Right on the back of their neck to get to their brainstem, which would then get to the pituitary and activate that whole endocrine cascade system. So right back, right there, you feel your occiput, and then boom, you'll fall into that little dip. Get it right in there. That'll get the brainstem, and that could help with your hormone balance. Good one.
Yeah, that's definitely an oil that you want to be putting into your own version of face caviar.
I'm going to use jasmine also as a segue into whisper, because this oil came up in our class. And somebody just asked on Facebook if it was still available. We have the Whisper Touch, and Whisper was an oil we talked a lot about in the very early days. And then I feel like it's actually really been forgotten about. And we don't talk about it much. A lot of people liked it as a perfume, but it's also an amazing hormone balancing oil. So I don't know if anyone wants to chime in about Whisper.
Whisper's so interesting. I love the effects of Whisper. It's a very strong blend. So what I mean is, when you put like frankincense on your wrist and you rub it and you smell it and you come back in 15, 20 minutes and it's pretty dissipated, right? It's absorbed into your system. It's absorbed. You put some Whisper on, that baby's on all day. She's sticking with you. She's like, there's a lot of the more resinous deep, there's chocolate, vanilla, sandalwood, rose, is vetiver in there? Some of the thicker ones. It's amazing, but that's why it was great as a perfume. So it's a really good one that's going to stick. Like if you rub it on your neck and stuff, it's going to stay with you and the way you want a perfume too. And it's, I don't know, it's a smell. It's almost like people have said it can mimic that baby powder smell. Sometimes teenagers love it. Young people, it's a good one for young girls. I love it sometimes. Like I come back and forth between it, and other times I'm not drawn to it. So it's an interesting one. I don't know. Like I go through cycles with it.
Yeah, I love it. And I've had a client of mine, her husband loves it. It's his favorite thing to wear for his.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, even though it says for women, honestly, it really is for both sexes. It's just, I think it's really a yummy, spicy, sexy smell, but
It is. I think it is kind of sexy. It's a sexy one.
Well, it
Hey,
has
Nikki, is that the oil you used
oils
once
in
for a
it.
sexy oil and had a sexy response? Putting you on the spot.
Me? Yeah. Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
that was one of my gateway oils for my relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in. Sign me up.
Yep, it was like a pure pheromone, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess that's another conversation we can have around Valentine's Day.
Let's do because I gave a class on different erotic blends
Yeah.
for a whole nother group of people. Before we forget, or we have to sign off, I want to shout out to Zendocrine oil blend for hormone balancing.
Thank you, Mika.
Yeah, it's a really big one to help filter out the liver. I mean, Dr. Josie, you can talk about it too, of course, but it's a really good one to help balance out the hormones. So please, if you're not using Zendocrine blend, oil blend, you can take the capsules. I have them right here. I take them. But the oil blend, that was another gateway oil for me. I put that in my belly button.
So that's what I teach in the hormone class, right? You think about it. So you're wearing and you're working with like the whispers and the claricommon stuff to be supporting the ovaries and the uterus and the different things. The back end, you got your front end, and then you got the back end. The back end is Zendocrine. It's doing the heavy lifting of supporting all those detoxification pathways, like you're doing all the support and stuff. But now you got to clear out all the work you've done with and get the hormones that have been conjugated out of the body. That's Zendocrine. So I love to say, use it as your bottom of the feet, morning and evening oil, and a little bit in the belly button. Right? And then orally. You can always take it in the capsules or in a blend or under the tongue. Orally is great, but as just a baseline, bottom of the feet, belly button.
I have a Zendocrine testimonial that I haven't shared in a long time. When I was first in doTERRA, I had to have an emergency surgery and had cysts removed off of my ovaries, which cascaded into massive other health problems. I won't go into that. A year later, those cysts started to come back, and that was horrifying for me because that surgery was quite traumatic. And so I got very rigorous with Zendocrine and castor oil packs nightly over my uterus and my ovaries. I also took the phytoestrogen, DDR prime, the LLV, but I literally shrunk those cysts on my ovaries and saved myself from a second surgery.
Oh,
I also think that the Zendocrine, if you're working with the Metapower, because it's really helping support those detox pathways. And the word that I learned from Dr. Josie, emunctories, it's going to help clear your emunctories. That is like truly and there's an herbal form and there's an oil form, and they're different. The herbal form is going to help nourish and support the liver, where the oil form is going to help with the detoxification. So using them simultaneously, also migraines, like I really think any kind of health issues, it's going to help move that stagnancy in the body. Of course, all of you doctors can back me up.
No, you just said it perfectly. For moving and helping support all of your detox pathways, that is like if you got inflammation going on, if you got a headache, migraine going on, and all these different things going on, it's always going to help. You're moving things out and helping the liver, but it's supporting all those pathways. It's the kidneys, it's the liver, it's the skin, it's the bowels, it's the what else? What am I forgetting? All the different emunctories and detoxification pathways. You're supporting those with both the herbal complex and the oil.
And with that, it's 10:59. Are there any last burning questions that we did not get to, or oils? You could also ask again on the Essential Wellness page under the thread of this call, and we can address them there. Okay, well, let me give you a quick summary. Jeannie, do you have any last questions? I saw a smile. I just wanted to make, I'm not putting you on the spot, just making sure. You're okay?
Unmute.
Yeah, you're muted.
I would love it if you did a class on the trees, because I avoid the trees, but when you talked about generational problems, I have that, and I'm allergic to a lot of trees, and I'm not grounded at all. So I said, I flunk in all 3 departments totally.
Okay. You know, I think that's
a tree call.
Yeah, I think, well, just what you said, I want to bring attention to. Oftentimes we avoid the oils that we need the most.
That'd be me.
Which is so funny, right? It's like we need grounding, so we're gonna kind of keep that away. But I would invite you, don't wait until the call. Take some cedar wood or the fir or whatever, or the new Shinrin Yoku, and start putting it on the bottoms of your feet. Start diffusing it in your home, and then we'll plan a call around that, and then you can report back to see if that's helping you any. I love cedar wood. Diffusing the tree oils too at night when you're sleeping could be super beneficial. So yeah, thank you for that. So
thank you for suggesting that. I avoid them like the plague, and I never knew why. And when you talked about the things that they help, I'm like, oh, I have all those big time.
I love that. I love that. So it's 11 o'clock. If you just hang out for a minute more, I'm going to give you a quick summary of the rest of the month. I also want to say, you know, in the background, Dr. Josie, Dr. Mika, Aaron, and I, Ariana, are always having way more discussions than any of you know about how to make this call successful, engaging, and interesting, and something that you look forward to. We are here for you. And so if you have any suggestions of, I would love a call on this topic, shoot me a message on Facebook, because we are starting to plan out next year. And again, we're here for you. So we would love to hear if you have any suggestions, any requests. If there's things you even don't like, don't worry about hurting our feelings, because that's valuable information too. And we are also discussing having more calls that are like this, that are really just more of an open discussion. Maybe we throw a topic out, but we all, you know, are, because, you know, I know it gets boring to just sit and listen to us talking at you week after week. So we really want this to be something that you really get value out of. For the rest of the year, can you believe that it's December already? I can't believe it. Next week, we have our oils A to Z panel, and they are going to be doing a deep dive into Shinrin Yoku, which is a tree blend. It is the Japanese forest bathing blend, Jeannie. That's going to be the oil for you. Yes. And then the week after that, I am super excited because I'm going to do a Metapower class. And Metapower is something that I am extremely passionate about. Slim and Sassy, the revised Metapower, or the old version, was my gateway into doTERRA. It was the oil that literally changed my life. And so when it got reformulated into Metapower, it then became like, it just reactivated my system, my mind. It came at the perfect time in my life. And it is like my most favorite product that I am preaching from the rooftops for everybody to take. And people that are taking it for a week. I have a friend, she literally took it for a week and said it's not working and gave the box away. And I just wanted to pull my hair out. So Dr. Mika gave an incredible testimony at the beginning of this call about what's happened to her eyesight, you know, and we are just hearing more and more of these kind of testimonies that dropped my mom's blood pressure. She's in her 70s and kept her from having to go on blood pressure medication. That is huge. That is adding years to her life. So this is a call. It's a really good call to invite anybody to, and you can invite anybody to these calls. These calls are open to anybody. So We will have the Shinrin Yoku next week. The week after that, we will have, excuse me, we will have the Metapower call, and then we're taking the rest of the year off for the holiday season, and then we will begin back in January. So if you have any ideas, any requests, shoot them over my way. I hope you all have a glorious day. Again, if you've not signed up for the newsletter, we have special treats coming. Yep.
So we're not coming back on Monday, January 1st.
Correct.
So we will be starting back again on Monday, January 8th.
Yes, that is correct. And I'm going to drop this seed. We are also departing from Zoom. We are breaking up with Zoom, and we're going to be returning on a new platform in January that Dr. Josie and Aaron and many of I are still kind of getting familiar with. We're super excited about it. It's super cool. And so we will start posting. You can sign up for a free account with that. And then we'll have our meetings just on a different video platform. So it will be similar. You'll have a link. You'll just click into the link. We'll have a room like this, but also look for those updates as well. Okay, anything else, ladies, before we go? Okay, love you all so much. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.